It all started when Lara's ex-hubby Cosme came knocking, wanting his shotgun and golf clubs back. He dropped a bombshell, saying he'd sold their house, and they had to move out in a month. Lara was like, "No way, our son Ader just made a new friend at school." But Cosme didn't care. He thought Ader was a weirdo. Later, Cosme was trash-talking Ader for being so into origami. Ader was fuming, and Lara was in the kitchen, wishing Cosme would just disappear because he was ruining her life. Suddenly, there was a loud noise, and Lara found out Ader had offed his dad with some scissors. Ader wasn't going to go to juvie cause of his age, so Lara took the blame to protect him. When Cosme's phone rang, Lara didn't answer cause it was his new wife. They removed the scissors with Lara's initials and cleaned up the mess. Ayer suggested getting an alibi, so Lara called a taxi and had the driver pretend to be her boyfriend at a diner. She acted like she was waiting for her hubby, and when the actor showed up, she accused him of stalking her and threatened to call the cops. Back home, Ayer's friend Hulen came over to work on a project, and Cosme's body was still in the garage. The next day, the boys went to school like nothing happened, and Lara said she'd take care of everything. Cosme's shady lawyer Susanna met up, and his wife Vanessa called Lara about his disappearance. Lara played dumb, but then she got a text from an anonymous number offering help. It was Hulan, who had helped Aver move the car. The cops found Cosme's body in the car and told Susanna and Vanessa. Vanessa denied any involvement, but Susanna accused her. To stop the investigation into their sketchy dealings, they planned to bribe Inspector Andoni. Lara briefed the boys on their alibi, and when she was alone with Hulan, he confessed his feelings for her. She rejected him, and he threatened suicide, so she lied and said she loved him too. Vanessa and Susanna's plan was to keep Cosme's phone from the cops and have Susanna bribe Andoni to frame Lara for the murder and avoid probing their affairs. Lara told her mom Pocky that she had killed Cosme, and Pocky said she'd have to confess to the church. At Cosme's funeral, Vanessa asked if Cosme had left his phone at Lara's, but Lara said she hadn't shown up. Vanessa said she'd manage Cosme's wealth, but Lara reminded her that Ader had inherited half. Afterwards, Inspector Wanu took Lara in for questioning. Lara made up a story about planning to meet Cosme at the diner, while Ayer and Hulan worked on a project. Andoni excused himself, and Wanu questioned how Lara could afford expensive shoes on just child support. Lara implied Cosme gave her extra money, and they still hooked up cause his wife wasn't satisfying him. Then Andoni came back with the taxi driver who had reported Lara for not paying her fare. But when he found out she was the deceased's ex-wife, he withdrew the complaint, thinking she was distraught. Andoni asked why the taxi had picked up and dropped off Lara downtown around the time of Cosme's death, and why she had the driver wait at the diner. Lara made up an embarrassing story about being with Hulan that afternoon and spending the night with him. The inspectors cornered Hulan at school, demanding the truth, but he went along with Lara's joke story. Later, Lara called Hulan and said their alibi had failed, so she changed her story again. Lara told the cops that Hulan was at her place, working on a project with Amor that afternoon, but they ended up getting intimate too. This made Hulan happy, but Lara clarified it was just a made-up story for the police. Hulan got offended and hung up when Lara insisted they should actually sleep together for real. Meanwhile, that sketchy lawyer Susanna paid a visit to Lara's mom Pocky and her caregiver Evelyn. She left her card in case Cosme's missing phone was found. Lara was surprised to see her. Susanna admitted she'd looked for Cosme's phone, but also wanted to offer her legal services. Lara was like, "Nah, I don't need a lawyer cause I'm not accused of anything." Susanna said she could help with Ayer's inheritance, but Lara shut her down, saying she didn't need her help. At the station, Andoni told Wanu he didn't believe Lara's story, even though Wanu wanted to investigate Cosme's businesses further. Andoni basically implied Lara was guilty and tried to get Wanu off the case. Then the inspectors questioned Hulan at school before his parents showed up. They found a creepy drawing in Hulan's notebook with his name on it, and Andoni asked if he'd slept with Laura. Poor Hulan couldn't answer and just went home with the detectives, who wanted to check out a suspicious folder. Hulan's mom, Terry, threatened trouble if he really had slept with Laura. Inside the folder, there was a photo of Laura in a swimsuit, and they found her underwear in Hulan's room too. Terry was pissed and threatened to sue. While Hulan's parents talked to him privately, Wanu told Andoni that Laura must be innocent since she seemed busy around the time of Cosme's death. But when Wanu was distracted, shady Andoni found a burnt cigarette in the trash and secretly pocketed it. Meanwhile, Laura realized Cosme's phone was missing and panicked, asking Ader where it was. But he said Hulan had been questioned about it. Laura called Hulan, who admitted he'd told the cops about their relationship. Terry overheard and started insulting Laura, even throwing Hulan's phone out the window. Later that night, while Andoni was washing dishes, Wanu suggested he hire someone to care for his sick dad so Andoni could enjoy life more. Wanu even said Andoni should put his dad in a care home and stop paying child support since his ex had a rich husband now. Offended, Andoni told his friend to leave. Afterwards, he contacted Susanna to make sure Laura got arrested the next day. That night, Hulan snuck into Laura's place through the window to meet her. After Terry took his phone, the teenager asked Laura if she really loved him, but she just said she was flattered. Then Hulan kissed her, and she stopped him. Laura proposed framing Hulan as the killer if the investigation kept going, taking advantage of his feelings for her. Hulan promised to cooperate, and Laura finally slept with him. Back in the present, the priest exits the confessional booth, shocked by Laura's crazy story. She says there's more, but he refuses to listen further. When she questions his commitment to God, the priest asks her to prove her confession is true. So, Laura removes her sunglasses, revealing bruises, and the priest allows her to continue. The next morning, Hulan rushed to leave Laura's place before his parents noticed he was gone. As he left, Laura had a change of heart about framing him, but Hulan insisted she was his owner now, and they kissed again. Terry saw this and dragged Hulan away to take him home. Suddenly, Ira showed up and jokingly asked if his friend was good in bed. Laura assured him she was just covering up the truth. Later, Aya revealed Cosme's phone was in a box of wine bottles in the garage. Panicked because the movers had taken everything, Laura tried to get the phone to frame herself. Shady Andoni forced the taxi driver to falsely confess that Laura had paid him for an alibi. The actor claimed Laura rode with him because Evelyn couldn't come that morning. Laura tried to get Cosme's phone from the moving company, but she couldn't because the cops had sealed up all the items. She ran into the mover who had taken the boxes to a warehouse, and chaos erupted when Andoni suspected she was working with someone. In the chaos, Laura managed to grab the phone. Andoni left her a message to meet at the station before picking up Ader and Hulan from school, where their classmates weirdly applauded them. Laura decided to surrender and asked Pocky to care for Ayer. In the interrogation, there was confusion about Laura and Hulan's involvement with the taxi alibi. Ayer tried to confess to killing his dad, and Hulan tried to take the blame, but the prosecutors stopped questioning them since they were minors. Later, Laura having Cosme's phone made her look suspicious. Susanna persuaded her not to hand it over right away and arranged a secret meeting. Wanu uncovered Andoni's shady act of fabricating evidence. Laura discovered Susanna, Vanessa, and Evelyn's scheme for her to stage a suicide. Wanu told Andoni about his report, which made Andoni desperate. After Laura avoided taking the pills, Susanna paid Evelyn to eliminate Ayer instead. Vanessa revealed her plan to claim Ayer's inheritance. In a struggle, Vanessa tried to push Laura off a building, while Evelyn went to shoot Ayer. But when the teenager stopped her, Evelyn wrestled with him and put the shotgun on the bed, intending to strangle him. Pocky grabbed the shotgun to save her grandson. Meanwhile, Laura freed herself and fought with Vanessa. They fell to a lower floor, and Vanessa used a fire extinguisher on Laura before strangling her with a belt. Just then, Susanna got a call that Andoni had killed himself after his misconduct was exposed. To protect herself, the authorities issued a warrant for Vanessa's arrest. Susanna considered killing Vanessa instead, hitting her with a shovel. Finally safe, Laura used her high heel to finish off Vanessa. Afterwards, Susanna sided with Laura when reporting to Wanu, saying Vanessa had killed Cosme out of jealousy and bribed Andoni to frame Laura. In the present, Laura tells the priest she doesn't regret ending Vanessa. She admits her thing with Hulan was wrong, but emphasizes she only wanted to protect Ayer. When the priest considers calling the cops, Laura begs for forgiveness, and he tells her to do 3 Hail Marys. Back home, Laura watches over her son, who now has a girlfriend. Suddenly, Hulan shows up asking if she's happy. Instead of answering, Laura just kisses him, thinking, "How did I end up this way? But I'm getting used to it."